Hello, and welcome to another edition of the GreenBaje podcast. As always, that is AJ. He is the green. I am Ken. I am the beige. And after a short break, the boys are back. How's it going, AJ?
All is well. All is well. Everything is going well. Yeah, just as usual. Life happens.
Of course. So allow us to be the absolute last to wish everyone in the US and wherever you are that may be celebrating a happy Thanksgiving because we were not here last week to tell
Yeah.
you happy Thanksgiving. So to all of you, we hope that you and your families are well and that you have plenty to give thanks for. Now, as you can see right now, I'm wearing a hat, which is not the norm. And I'm also wearing a hoodie, which is also not the norm, but both of them are sporting and supporting the land of our birth, Barbados, who is celebrating Independence Day tomorrow. There's also another day that they're also trying to celebrate tomorrow, but we are not here to speak on such things. November 30th is Independence Day, and so it should remain, if you ask me. So, AJ, did you have a good time on Thanksgiving with the family, man?
Yeah, I did. I did. Always gonna link up with that side of the family and whatnot. It was a good vibe. It was a good vibe. And yourself?
Yeah, man. Right now, my sister is here. She has come
Oh,
to
she's still
visit us.
there. Nice.
Yeah, she came in from
Yeah.
Barbados. She's going to be with us throughout the entire holiday season.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
yeah, it's good to have some family around. And
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
some cousins that came over from a neighboring city. They're working in Campion in Colorado. So they came over to join us on Saturday. So we had a good time meeting up and linking up with them as well. That's what this time of year is all about. It's all about
True.
family and
True.
friends and celebrating and having a good time. So, you know, while we talk about having a good time, did you see what I called this week's episode?
No, I actually didn't. I did not. What is it?
this this week's episode is called "There Will Be Tears."
All right. All right.
Yeah,
Apt.
yes, of course. Now, after everybody's had the opportunity to celebrate just making it to the World Cup, we had the opening ceremony and everything. Everybody was happy, was feeling good. It was no time to get down to business. And for some teams, that business is already over. There are teams that have qualified from the group stage to the first knockout round, while others already know that their tournament is over and are already packing their bags to head home, or in the case of Qatar, just stay home. Some others are hoping to delay their flights, while others want to make sure that they don't miss it. One thing is for certain: there will be tears. Joy or disappointment, waterworks are guaranteed. But before we go to Qatar, we're going to take our usual jaunt around the NFL in four down territory off the rip. So, AJ, as we always do, first down, the biggest winner of the weekend is who?
The biggest winner of the weekend for me would actually be the Buffalo Bills. And not for any reason other than they seemed to be on a slide. Well, not seemed to be, they were on a slide recently. They were just not playing well. I guess some issues that they've had that had been papered over because of them winning due to Josh Allen. Those issues were coming to the surface, and a lot of people were calling out Josh Allen and whatnot. And there was a lot of noise surrounding the organization. And even going into that game, that last game, it was against the Lions, but they were made to work for that victory. And they did end up winning by a one score, by a field goal, essentially. And it just, for them, I think they needed that to not just not just for the momentum sake and for morale's sake, but to actually keep up in the AFC East. Because I mean, given their record, they're still most likely going to get into the playoffs. But um, you still want to win your division, right? You want to win your division, and that win keeps them in touch with the Miami Dolphins, and it just is better for them going forward because they are the division champs. They were picked not just to win the division, but to win the entire AFC. So they need to be up there when the 11th hour comes. So I'd put them as the biggest winners for the last week,
Okay,
for week 12. Yeah.
no problem. Well, I didn't have them for once. I did not consider the Bills at all. Um, but what you said was correct because they did watch that game and they did have to work for it. The one thing about this Lions team is that they do put up points, and if you
They
can't put
do.
up points, you are not going to
They
beat
do.
this team.
Yeah, it's
They're
true.
not the strongest defensively, but offensively, they get the job done. So kudos to the Lions. But my biggest winner of the week was actually the Minnesota Vikings. And I know that you might not have gone that way, but that's okay. But the reason I picked the Vikings is not because they beat the Patriots alone, but because they got a good primetime performance from primetime Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins now sits at an embarrassing 11 and 18 in primetime games, which is weighed down exponentially by a 2 and 10 record on Monday nights. Mind
Hmm.
you, the two that he has are against the Bears. This is
Hmm.
against the Bears that have been struggling to put anything together recently. That's who he has his
Hmm.
two victories against. But I digress. This
Hmm.
game, he had 30 of 37, 299 yards, three touchdowns, and one interception against your vaunted Patriots defense. And that is nothing to sneeze at. Justin Jefferson would not be denied, and he got 9 receptions for 139 yards and a touchdown. Adam Thielen, an oft forgotten man in this Viking system, also got 9 receptions. TJ Hawkinson got into the touchdown act, and the Vikings stymied the run game of New England, forcing Matt Jones to have one of his better nights as a pro. Congratulations to Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. At 9 and 2, they're guaranteed a spot in the playoffs at this point. And we will have to see if they can do it again when they come up against the better teams in the NFC.
That hurt me, you know. Not your analysis, obviously. I mean the game, because boy, boy, like what I want to say about Nelson Aguilar here, but let's move on quickly before I get a brain aneurysm moving here.
Oh dear. Okay, so let's move on then. All right, so the biggest loser of the weekend, AJ. Who is your biggest loser of week? This is week 12? Week 12.
Yeah, week 12. So my biggest losers are the Colts, and it probably shouldn't be that way because I feel like the Colts are just at this point playing with house money, having hired Jeff Saturday, an unproven coach, to be their head coach for the remainder of the season. But the reality is that the Colts are still in within touching distance in their division. The Titans lead the division, but they haven't been like otherworldly. They haven't been exceptional that they're at this point out of sight, right? And the Titans actually lost in week 12. They lost they lost to the Bengals. And then the Colts, knowing this, because they had the Monday night game, you would think that they would come out a bit more
Energized.
prepared for one, or energized rather. Yes, that's probably the better word. Like a bit more energized and rejuvenated to close the gap, because the Titans loss put them at 7-4. The Colts, if they had won, they would have been at what, 5-6, as just 2 games behind. And oh, it was 5-6-1 the tie, but still, they would have been within touching distance and obviously closer to like a wild card spot. These men came out, and I've already explained to you in the other group what really annoyed me about that game. Just Justin Taylor fumbling at the 1 yard line. I mean, it goes beyond fantasy. Obviously, that was a huge annoyance for me. But the reality is that outside of that play, there were questions about um, Jeff Saturday's clock management coming down towards the end of the game because he didn't use his timeouts. I'm
Hmm.
yet to I saw in a ticker headline that he said, I thought we had enough time. I would like to hear the manner in which he said it to understand the context, because just seeing the phrase doesn't necessarily give credence to the manner in which it was said, right? So I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't like just an incredibly stupid statement from a naive head coach. But I have to call him the biggest losers because that was not the kind of performance you want to put up at home when you have a chance to close in on the lead in the division.
But it's not even just that. is that you have a chance to close in on the leader of your division and you're playing it against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have not looked good at
Exactly.
any point in time
And
this
then there's
season.
that. And then there's that.
Yeah, no, I did hear Jeff Saturday say that. He said that he thought that there was enough time. The expectation was that they would have been able to get the first down when they ran up and ran that third down play.
Okay.
They thought that they would have gotten the first down and then called timeout. But they ran the football with Jonathan Taylor. He got stuffed at the line, and then no, they're calling timeout on fourth down. They don't get the first down, and they lose the game, which, as you said, had implications in other spheres for many, including those of us in fantasy. We yeah we
Yeah,
won't
blacklist.
yeah we won't
Blacklisted.
we won't get too heavily into that today because that would just bring more negative emotions out of you. Now, my biggest loser of week two is Zach Wilson, deposed QB of the New York Jets. Now, this has been a really bad week for Cougar Slayer Zach Wilson. After having an abysmal game against the Patriots, he refused to take accountability for his own ineptitude, which led to his benching after his coach had vouched for him and said that there was not going to be a quarterback change. They said, young fella, you're doing too much, and put him on the bench this week against the Bears. Now, we know that the Bears are no longer the Bears, but they're still a competent defense. Mike White, who would feel he's never really had a turn since being drafted back in 2018, got the call up since Zach needed some time in the pen. Zach would have been hoping that White would struggle and that he would be able to walk right back into this job since the Jets right now actually do look like making the playoffs this season. Unfortunately for him, White came in and lit the team on fire. 22 of 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Most importantly, no picks. White came in and gave the Jets some excellent quarterback play. And now Zach has to be wondering how long he'll have to wait before he gets his job back. Poor fella.
So it could problems.
Yep, that is true. I mean, if he had just gone out to the podium as all of these
And
quarterbacks usually
and
say,
been a leader. Yeah.
and say, you know, I let us down. I didn't play well today. And we only put up what negative 2 point negative two
Hmm.
yards passing in the
Something like
second
that.
half. I only had 77 yards passing on the day. That is on me. I need to be better. I need to do better. He probably would have played this game against the Bears, and who knows what happened. But right now, Zach Taylor is just looking like another swing and a miss from the New York franchise at quarterback because, after Sam Darnold, and his mono episodes, they would have thought that they would have been getting better than that. But apparently, the Cougar Slayer isn't studying enough of what he needs to be studying.
Clearly. Cougars
All
there.
right. So, third down is your least impressive win. Which one got your least impressive win this week?
A team that I've kind of been following a bit because the young quarterback is my absolute favorite right now, and that's the Chargers and Justin Herbert. The win is most concerning of the weekend to me because of the fact that they are. This is a game they should have won, and they did win it. They're winning these games. It was a very close game. Um, the manner in which they won it, like by a single point, and the manner in which they've been winning games this season, I still believe that Justin Herbert is not fully fit, and he's being not necessarily forced, but he's playing under some duress a little bit. I think it's concerning because the Chargers are putting themselves in a position to make the playoffs, but they're not ready to be a playoff team. They're wasting time. They're wasting Justin Herbert's rookie years and, well, rookie contract years rather, on Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley is not the man that's good. I'm telling you. You know how it goes in this league. You either pay like have a top tier or a high end quarterback, pay him money, and then you have like a young offensive core around him essentially to build on, or the reverse. You have a young talented um, QB who's on a rookie contract, and then you can give him the pieces around. That's basically the situation right now in in Chargers with the Chargers, right? Because they have the vets like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, bringing some other people on the opposite side of the ball in defense and all that. But because they don't have to pay Justin Herbert as yet, but after they waste all these years with Brandon Staley as head coach, and on the back of Justin Herbert, qualify for the playoffs every year or wild card or whatever, and just not go anywhere, and then it comes time to pay Justin Herbert, then they will be licking their wounds because when after you pay Justin Herbert, you're gonna have to let some of these guys go. It's not going to be the same team. And then who are you going to bring in at that point? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying like right now, these sorts of games that you have just because Justin Herbert was actually really good in this game. He did not for the first time in a while. He ain't had a pick. He was 35 of 47. Ken 35 or 47. Mind you, I guess there were a few checkdowns because it was less than 300 yards, right? 274 yards, three passing touchdowns, no picks. That's a very solid afternoon, right? So you mean every single week, no, Justin Herbert again got to be saving these men, and then Brandon Staley and just level it out by not doing anything. I feel like this is a waste, and that's why I think that is the most concerning win because they will win games because of Justin Herbert, and they will finish with the best, this probably the second best record in their division because the other two teams are absolute crap. But then when it comes to time to actually face the big boys, they're not ready, and a lot of that has to do with Brandon Staley as a head coach.
So I've been smiling all the way through because this is one time that you and I are in complete agreement. Because that I also had the Chargers as my
Oh,
least
interesting.
impressive win. Yeah, and here's why I said in my notes that the Chargers feel like fool's gold. Every
Exactly.
year we are
Exactly.
waiting for them to
Exactly.
be good. For Brandon Staley
Exactly.
to justify the hype he had when he was hired, and Justin Herbert to take that big step forward as one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. And it feels like the second of those three things I just listed is what is keeping this team back. No, I agree with you that Justin Herbert is injured, or at least he's been playing through an injury for the majority of this season. So in that regard, he does get a pass. But AJ, 47 passes, as you said, he threw 47 passes,
47.
an average 5.8 yards per pass.
That's There we go. Yeah.
He
I knew it had to be
only
something like that. Yeah.
he mustered 274 yards, and it's not just that you only got 274 yards. It's against this poor and porous Arizona Cardinals team.
Hmm.
Now, when you look at what happened on the other side, Kyler Murray also didn't have a good day passing himself because he went 18 of 29 for 191 yards, two touchdowns, and a pick. But the Cardinals, at least they got 181 yards on the ground.
Hmm.
But I thought Staley was supposed to be a defensive coach. I thought he was supposed to take care of these kinds of deficiencies. Every year we get duped by the noise coming out of SoFi that these Chargers are going to take a step forward. But the only step they've made is that they've stopped losing all of these close games. They actually win a couple here and there.
Hmm.
But I don't. Brandon Staley needs to be looking for new employment at the end of the season because I don't see how they can be looking at what is happening with their team and be satisfied that he is the man to lead them going forward. I just don't see it.
I don't know how they could have seen that after the end of last season when they essentially did not make wildcard weekend because of him. But different story for a different day.
It is true. I mean, this no makes me feel even more sorry for Anthony Lynn. Like,
True.
what did he do that was so
True.
bad
True.
because Brandon Staley is still getting to keep this job?
True.
Anyhow, on to fourth down. And that's the biggest surprise. What was your biggest surprise of this NFL weekend?
What did I just open up my notes? What that So the biggest surprise of the weekend for me was the Raiders. I'm sticking in that same division. I, I don't want to talk too long about the Raiders, but it's the fact that obviously the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the NFL this
Hmm.
season. They have
For
been.
sure.
The Seahawks have been the Cinderella story of the NFL. Um, what actually surprised me is not just that the Raiders won, it is more so how they won. The fact that they put up this much of a fight. The men drop a 40 piece. This is an
Hmm.
offense that for the most part has been inept, like outside of, and let me not say the entire offense, because Justin Jacobs is still like one of,
Josh
like
Jacobs.
Josh, not Justin. Josh Jacobs is one of, I'm pretty sure he's top three in rushing right now, isn't he? I need to double check, but either way, he's been having a decent enough season, right?
Hmm.
Devontae a bit more so on and off, but Devontae is Devontae. But generally, this offense has not been clicking or firing on all cylinders. But to put up a 40 piece and win in overtime on the road against this Seahawks team that has actually been buttoned up for the better part of the season and are leading that division, their
Hmm.
division, I give them the props where it's due. Now it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. The Raiders are still terrible and they're still not going to the postseason. But just showing this kind of fight and at this stage, I mean I have to give them a little bit of credit for it. I didn't expect them. I didn't expect this kind of win.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, I'm sure that you're going to like where I go with my biggest surprise of this NFL weekend. Well, actually, this is my one actually transcends just this weekend. It is probably all season long. What has happened to Jalen Ramsey?
You didn't even make me spit out water on my laptop, boy. Uh yeah, that. Oh, whew, you know what? No, go ahead. You could have it. Let me sit down here and
Ramsey
skim my mouth.
Ramsey was touted to be the next big cornerback in the league, but it has not been a good season so far for him. In marquee matchups, he is getting burned like you had the toaster set too high. Against Stephon Diggs in week one, he gave up a perfect passer rating of 158.3, 5 receptions on 6 targets for 92 yards. And this week, the Rams put him on Travis Kelsey, who, as I tweeted from our GreenBaje account at GreenBaje on Twitter, on Sunday, he got turned inside out so bad that he was wearing his skeleton outside of his pads. The Rams' season is done. It is done. It is glorious that it is done, and it is done as badly as it is. But they have to look at their defensive scheme next season because Ramsey, as this roamer who can go find the ball and make something happen, or putting him to shadow the best receiver, has been a mixed bag at best and an absolute roasting at worst.
I do not know what happened. I don't know if this is just a side effect, like a microcosm of the bigger issue. Because who on the Rams has actually been good? I mean, it's Cooper Cup, but then he went down with injury. Other than that, the entire thing has just been, yeah, maybe Jalen is just. I still think the man will get better than this. I don't think he's this terrible, but everything is going wrong this season. Again, some part of me thinks it was unjust to put that man on Travis Kelsey. Eh? Travis Kelsey ain't that dude to say, yeah, you could lock up Kelsey. No, no. I don't think anyone can. Honestly, I don't think anyone can.
But you
Not
know
not
what?
one not 1v1.
But you know what that reminds me of?
Mhm.
When you guys in New England, y'all still had Gronk, and y'all were going into that Super Bowl against the Seahawks. The whole thought was who is going to cover Gronk one on one, and the thought was that Cam Chancellor would have been the guy. He would have
Mhm.
been the safety that would have been able, not necessarily to take Gronk away, but that he would have been able to slow him down and therefore be able to help the defense to get after Brady a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then in that Super Bowl, regardless of if they put Chancellor on him, whoever they put on him, they just got beat like a snare drum in the top band. It was not it was not fun viewing for those of us who did not want the Patriots to win.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
So, so now you go into this game and Jalen Ramsey, he walks with the swagger, he talks with the swagger. So you say, well, Ramsey, you have the opportunity to back it up. Travis Kelsey right now is the one that is making the Kansas City offense tick because there's no more Tyreek Hill, Miko Hardman, he's on IR. So no, it is just him. You go have him. You go stop him. And then what happened on that touchdown play? I've Kelsey, AJ, I have seen some men get beaten and get beaten badly. There's nothing wrong with you getting beaten on a road. It's
Hmm.
the next thing when you are completely lost. You have
Yeah,
no idea where this man has gone. And then you are just trying your hardest to catch up to him. Because when Kelsey caught that ball, Ramsey was at least 4 or 5 yards away from him.
yeah, yeah.
And then Kelsey caught the ball and turned in another direction and just created even more separation. It
That
was
was hard to
horrible.
watch. That was hard to watch. That was
It's
hard to watch. That is a grown man.
a man with kids, a man that has
Um,
a family, a man
right?
that has a family, and that is what you're out here doing to this matchup. It really
Nah,
it
man.
really was not good. And the thing is, right? No, you know that we are in some groups with some guys who do not like Jalen Ramsey, don't like the
Yeah,
best born in him because
yeah.
of what he says and what he does and what's not. I
I
am
hope
not
he
one of
acts.
them.
Yeah,
I actually like Jalen Ramsey.
yeah.
I am a fan of Mr. Ramsey. But when I saw that, I was like, oh my
No way to
days.
defend that. No pun intended.
That's
There's no way
that's
to
for sure.
defend him there. Yeah, it was just that was a nasty route, man. That was a nasty route. Poor
Ah,
fella.
poor fella indeed. So no, Angel, that was enough of the NFL, and we are heading back over to the desert. And we're heading back to Qatar, where the group stage is about to end this week, and the knockouts are going to start on Saturday. That
Hmm.
reminds me of the GreenBaje bracket challenge. We have to get the brackets out to the good folks so that they can make their picks. We have at least one prize for those of you in Barbados. We are still working on getting some other prizes involved. But as soon as the bracket challenge drops this week, you need to make your picks as soon as possible. Now, this week, or should I say over this last week and a half, there have been some exciting games and some upsets. And so far, when we did our preview and we picked the those teams to progress from the groups, one of us has been proven right and one of us has been proven wrong. But but we get to that in a second. We're going to talk about the World Cup for the rest of today's show. So firstly, AJ, tell the folks about your French team. What's happening with France?
I'm pleasantly surprised thus far because I was really concerned with the number of injuries that were taking place. Um, like how it would affect the team chemistry going into the group stage games, but it hasn't been as bad as I thought it would. I still think that we do need to improve. Hasn't been smooth sailing, but because outside of Mbappe, like it he has been the X factor, right? He's been the one basically making the plays. Obviously, has like 3 goals right now, so one of the joint top scorers. Um, yes, there's just not a lot that has been going on. Otherwise, obviously, like Luca Hernandez got injured in the very first game. Not to sound terrible, but I didn't think he should have been starting in the first case. The entire thing is, to me, it seems like Deschamps is still trying to work out this best 11 because he brought in Theo Hernandez to replace Luca, and then in the second game, Pavard, who started in that first game against the Socceroos, he was benched as well. So I think there's still a lot going on. Midfield has been my worry. I think Chumeni and Rabio have been decent. Rabio had a very good game the first time around. Second time, pretty decent. But the gr- all in all, I still did pick us. I said that I thought that there was a chance that we may come second, but I still, at the end of the day, put us to win the group. So I'm not too worried thus far. I think we've done enough. Obviously, we're the first team to automatically qualify. What concerns me more is when we come to play the bigger boys in the win or go home, and that phase of the tournament. But there's still one more group stage game to go, so I'd like to see if we take any steps forward. See if there's more chemistry wise going on, and if the team looks better as a unit, and hopefully we're not just relying on Mbappe. But for now, I'll take the 6 points and the spot in the round of 16. Allez les bleus.
Okay. So the big news that we heard just today is that Karim Benzema may be making a return to the French team before the tournament's end. How are you feeling about that?
I didn't even hear that. I didn't know that. But I mean, I very much welcome him because above everything else, I actually felt very sorry for Benzema because he was exiled from the team for a number of years. We went on to win a World Cup without him. He gets the chance to get back into the team after having his arguably his best club season, being named the FIFA Player of the Year, Ballon d'Or as they call it now. Some real old saying that. Yeah. I just remember when they were two separate awards, but
Hmm.
it was named Ballon d'Or, and he rightfully earned his place back in the team, and then to get injured, in training right before the tournament starts, like I I hope it's true, and I'd very much welcome him back into the team. Giroud is not someone that is going to play 90 minutes every single game. I think Giroud was going into this tournament very satisfied to come off of the bench, and with the way we've been playing, if Benzema comes back in, Giroud is very likely to get that goal that will take him to the pinnacle and surpass Henri as our France's all-time leading goal scorer. So I really hope it's true because I don't think besides those two guys I trust anyone else to play up front.
So then what? How would you line up your friend though? Because Giroud has played well enough to remain in his spot. But are you going to just automatically bench him to play Benzema? Because obviously then the team has to play differently because Benzema is not the target striker that Giroud is, knocking down the ball and bringing the others into play around him like Benzema will, you know, rather have the ball at his feet and, make the plays that way.
Yeah, Giroud on the bench. He has to bench. if Benz is fit enough to start, then yes. If it is a case where he will need to come off of the bench to get some match fitness to see how the injury would treat him in game, then yeah, you bring him off the bench for like I guess the first. Then again, we ain't got much time to play with though. It depends on when he returns to the team. If it is in the group stage, if it's in the group stage, and yeah, basically what I'm saying, he could come off the bench for that first game and see how the injury is, like how serious it was,
Hmm.
how he's getting along with it. If it is knockouts, Benzema has to start. He just won't play 90, the full 90, and then Giroud can come on, but he has to start. To your point about the tactics, that's absolutely correct. Like Benzema is not going to be as hold up as Giroud is. We know how they both play, but he is capable of doing it, just not to the fervent extent that Giroud does. But at the same time, he's so much more of an offensive weapon that we need at this point because everything is running through Mbappe. And it's not a discredit to Giroud. Like he's still a fox in the box. Like you can't leave him. He will get shots on target. He can score, but there's too much riding on the shoulders of Mbappe in this team. And I think having Benzema, the fact that Benz and Mbappe had created that sort of connection and relationship on the field where they could interchange positions and it kind of gives defenders a problem. I think we definitely need that to remain viable contenders. How would line up? I mean, if we're still trying to do that wing back thing, I guess Griezmann would play off of the two of them, and then every once in a while, either one of them would drift. Either one of them, being Mbappe or Benzema, would drift out to the left while the other stays centrally. So it still could work. It still could work. because I don't know if I don't know if we if both are available. If um Deschamps goes back to playing out wide, but I mean, sorry, with the two wingers and the striker, but it's possible as well. I think there's so many tactical options that we can explore if Benzema is back. Um, I really want Benzema to come out, for real. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, understood. Well, I know you said that you were feeling good that France is the first team to qualify for the knockout rounds. And congratulations to you for being the first team to qualify for the knockout rounds. It just, according to the scheduling, that you were the first team to qualify for the knockout rounds because my Brazil was the second team to qualify for the knockout rounds with 2 out of 2. Um,
Hmm.
I would have to say that we have satisfied expectations to this point by qualifying with a game to spare.
Hmm.
Brazil has been dominant during these games, even if the scoreline at the end hasn't always reflected said dominance. We were on top the entire game against Serbia, and then
Hmm.
we got the two second half goals that we needed. We only scored one in this past game. That's not the point. We got 6 points, and we are moving on. Now I believe, and a lot of my Brazil fans have also been saying the same kinds of things that Tite needs to make some adjustments to this team, especially to his starters as we go deeper into the tournament. As Rafinha on the right wing has been a passenger most games. And as far as I'm concerned, and many agree with me, he should not be starting. Um, we when we were playing against who did we play just the other day? Switzerland. When we played against the Swiss, and that I mean, when we looked at our group, I didn't think our group was a group of death because I always believed that Brazil would be the one to qualify from this group first. Anyway, but our group was not an easy group. Switzerland is a pretty tough team. Serbia is a strong defensive team, and then there's Cameroon, who, as an African nation, you never know what you're going to get when they turn up in the tournament. So I didn't think that our group was the easiest group. I definitely didn't think it was the hardest, but we would have had some challenges, to make sure that we qualify and qualify as quickly as possible. In central defensive midfield,
Hmm.
Bruno Guimaraes should be partnering Casemiro. I did not like the pick of Richarlison going into the tournament. I had said that if it was up to me, Richarlison would have been back out there with Spurs practicing all this time, and we would have taken Roberto Firmino if we had to pick between the two of them. But to his credit, Richarlison has played reasonably well. And
Hmm.
so far, he has scored what I consider to be the goal of the tournament. I have not seen anything better than that overhead kick that he scored so far. Now, with the 6 points already in the bag, and us having qualified for the next round, I'd like to see Chichi make some adjustments in the next game. Let's start Martinelli for Vinicius because we know Vinicius is a short starter. So let's get somebody else in there to see how they're going to perform. And we can give Anthony a start on the right side in place of Rafinha because, as far as I'm concerned, Rafinha should be watching the rest of this tournament just like me and you. It will be between Martinelli and Anthony to see who now takes that spot on the right opposite Vinicius because Vinicius is a sure starter. We don't need to see Rodrigo in the next game because apparently Rodrigo is the first man off the bench anyway. So his play is assured. He doesn't need to appear in the next game. And I would also start Bruno, Guimaraes, and Fabinho. Let the two of them start in defensive midfield and let Casemiro, he has some age on him now, so let him take a rest. And let the two of them audition for the spot next to him. Because you see that Fred thing? Fred Fred at most should be an injury replacement. He don't need to be starting these games. I am sorry, not Fred. Not in Brazil. Come on, man. We don't get a tournament and play Fred. Not like that go back to the day when we started Joe up front. No, nonsense. We not having that.
I mean, well, winning your first two games and qualifying for the next round does afford you that luxury, right? Because then you have the last game to as you say, let some other players audition, and if you want, try out some tactics and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I hope we're in the same position to. But my only thing is that coming into this tournament, I don't think that Deschamps knew who his best 11 was. And in the
Hmm.
first game, the first game kind of confirmed that to me by the lineup he set with regards to, especially with regards to the wing backs, because all he did was, yeah, there's some good memories of Joe. Jared with a comment. Yeah, it would, especially with regards to the wing backs, because Benjamin Pavard has not been informed by any stretch of the imagination. Luca Hernandez, I don't think he's been terrible, but his brother has been arguably the best left back that France has had in the last couple of seasons. And well, I should say left wing back at least. Neither of them started. He went with the old guard, the same two guys that won us the World Cup last time. So and this feels like the kind of game now we have Tunisia in the last game. And this feels like the kind of game now where we some other guys who have been coming off of the bench could possibly try to stake their claim. Um, no, he's always bringing on. The thing is, Ken, we do not have a very dynamic bench, and that was one of the things I was lamenting, which is one of the other reasons why I didn't mention previously. I really want Benzema to get back to this team because looking at the bench last time when we needed like an offensive spark, it was Coleman and who was he? Who was he in the prison? Can't even remember who came off the bench. There are like three attacking names on the bench. The rest are midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers. I was just not good enough at this stage. So I think we're in a position where we really do need Benzema back. So I would be happy to welcome a 70% Benzema back to this team, even if that means he can come off the bench for Giroud. But we need him. We need him.
Well, I mean, I understand why you say that you need him. And maybe Benzema's return will actually spell good things for your team. You know how I feel about your team, especially when it comes to tournaments like this. So if he does come back, I hope that he has the effect of what seems to be happening over in the Belgium locker room. Because did you see that everything right now seems to be falling apart for this golden generation of Belgium? We have some serious infighting going on with this team, and right now they sit third in their group with a loss and a victory, and now who do they play last? They play against Croatia, who is currently topping the group. So is it possible that both you and I could be wrong when we pick Belgium to escape their group and move on in this tournament?
Yeah, pretty much. And Jared, I will tell you what I feel about Belgium right now because I did think they'd win the group. Um, I never mentioned them in any forum as dark horses or anything. I always thought that that was over, but I didn't think that they'd struggle to get out of this group. If you remember, I did pick Morocco though, so I'm quite satisfied with that pick. I thought Croatia were going to be the ones to suffer, but at this stage, I don't know if I see Belgium because, as you noted, like with these issues in the dressing room and everything just seemingly falling, when it all falls down, boy, I honestly don't know if I see Belgium getting 3 points off of Croatia. I
Hmm.
don't. And a draw is not going to do them any good because
Nope.
that will then put them at 4 points, and the goal difference would be um,
Minus what still?
inferior inferior to Morocco. So even
Hmm.
if Morocco would have to lose by like three clear goals for them to even be tied
And Morocco has to lose to Canada, who
to
currently right
Canada,
now has
yeah,
no
and
points.
Canada ain't beating Morocco. Even on a weird day, Canada is not beating Morocco 3-0.
Hmm.
So I don't think Belgium are getting out of this group anymore. It is really sad. It is really sad that they're not even going to get out of the group. I mean, the Croatia team was supposed to be the elder team, right? But
Hmm.
Belgium is just and oddly enough, they're not even the most disappointing team of the World Cup to me so far, though. But they have been extremely disappointing. I'll get into that a bit more afterwards.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you on everything that you just said, including that they have not been the most disappointing team because we can touch on that disappointing team in a second. But when I made my selections for this group, I said that I expected Croatia to come second to Belgium in this group. And right now, Croatia tops the group. Morocco is second. I do not see Belgium as currently constructed and the way how they are playing getting even a point out of this game because you need to have some level of harmony in a squad,
Hmm.
in a team when you put them out there. Because anytime you don't have that harmony, when you got men sniping at one another and what's not, how are they supposed to work together to achieve anything?
Hmm.
Right now we got the we got Hazard saying that he didn't think that the team was old enough or it was too old to do anything good in the tournament. Mind you, he has not done anything of note for the last how many years now? So,
Since Real Madrid, yeah.
okay, so where has he put his mouth to make such comments? If you are playing well, if you are in form, you can talk, but you are not in any kind of form. So if you thought that the average age of the team was too old, maybe you should have stayed home, sir. But I'm not a Belgian fan, so that doesn't matter to me. I when you have the defense saying that because obviously you guys didn't score, so maybe our attack is just too old. Is not all of us. I know we're seeing that the team is splitting up into different factions, and this guy is talking to that guy, and these are the starters. These are supposed to be the leaders on this team. Belgium is going home. Right now, that plane to Brussels is on the tarmac with the engines spinning. It is just waiting for them to get on board and take off. We already got clearance from the tower. We ready to go. Another team that seems to
Just
be
hit De Bruyne who made the comments initially. Uh,
oh yes, thank you,
yeah.
Sean. Yeah, De Bruyne, who also has not had a very good tournament so far. Belgium right now is a mess. No, another team that is currently sitting there and they're in the category of having packed their bags and just waiting to board the plane as well. And I guess for them, they're hoping that they can miss the flight is Germany. Right now, AJ Germany sits bottom of their group with 1 point
Mhm.
and a -1 goal difference. Spain is on four, Japan is on three, Costa Rica is on three. Germany has 1 point. Do you think that Germany escapes, or do they just escape Qatar and go home?
So Germany's last game is against Costa Rica. Um, Japan, Spain played Japan. This thing is, the group is still very close. Now, obviously, with goal difference, the reality is that Spain basically already like qualified, even with a draw, right?
Hmm.
Because nobody, two teams can't overtake them, and no one is going to catch up to them goal difference wise.
But
But
two
there's
teams
still,
can overtake them actually because they play
yeah,
Japan
yeah.
last.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, mathematically yes, but realistically, do we really see Japan upsetting Spain and Costa Rica upsetting Germany in the same on the same day? I find that hard to believe, and because I don't think Spain are going to rest players. I don't think they're going to rest
No,
any players.
they're,
Yeah,
they're not at the point that they can.
that
So
exactly because literally at 3 points separates them. I am very disappointed in Germany as well. I didn't expect them to be this terrible. I always thought it was going to be a toss up as to who won and who comes second. I thought it would be them and Spain to go through though. And I
mhm.
think, if I remember correctly, I think I did put them first and Spain second. But either way, I wouldn't have been upset if it was Spain first, them second. But this, I don't know. If they escape, I think it's likely because I do believe that Spain can beat Japan and will beat Japan. Um, I think they can beat Costa Rica as well. So I think they stand a better chance to escape. This game, the final game has fallen at the right time for them. Um, they're not going to trounce Costa Rica the same way that Spain did, but they might scrape a 1-0 like they did in '06 in that first game of the tournament. Mind you, that took a worldie from Lamb but to win that game. But I think they can escape, but it still doesn't look good for them going forward. Like beyond that, they could be out in around the 16.
I honestly feel that Germany can be home. I'm looking at this. I did not feel confident. Remember, I said this. I was not confident about Germany going into the tournament, and they've not shown me anything at all to inspire any confidence in me whatsoever. Now they're going into a game against Costa Rica, who is playing with house money, really and truly. Costa Rica, nobody expected them to be getting out of this group anyway, just to end with a show. No, I know that there's also the possibility that two teams that sit above them could decide we'll just shake hands and go through together. And that could be the end of the tournament for Germany. There's so many things that right now they are hoping go in their favor for them to have any chance of getting out of this group stage. I don't see it. And frankly, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I would love them to be back home in Munich after this game that they play. When is their game? Their game is on Thursday at 3 p.m. for those of you in the Caribbean. It is at noon for me, and I will be plugged in for that. I need to see Germany go home. So AJ,
So wait, so the last thing I
mhm,
would say, the reason why I don't think that Spain and Japan are going to collude is because if Japan draws and they're on 4 points, and then Germany do beat Spain, they're both on 4 points.
mhm,
And if depending on how badly Germany does win, their goal difference will be higher because Japan's goal difference at this point is zero,
mhm,
right? So they can't like they actually have to go out and try to get like 3 points from this game to go through because they can't sit back and 'cause at the same time, like just so you mentioned, like Germany need to be relying on other results to go their way. Japan would have to hope that Germany do not win in order to go through with anything but a win themselves. So I think that adding that element to it means they'll have to attack Spain. Spain ain't going to sit back and defend, so that means they're going to be counter-attacking Japan, and they have more quality to finish. So I still think it's in Germany's hands more so, but I mean, the fact of the matter is the group is still really interesting because every team has potential to go through, and not any of the team, like three teams could still win the group. Any of them could go through. Like it'll be an interesting match day three or week three. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, if Costa Rica beats Germany, then Japan is home. So, from that
yeah,
point, you
exactly.
are correct.
Yeah,
They will have to make sure that they secure their passage,
exactly.
and at least there's no dead rubbers in this game. There's no team that is completely out of it.
Hmm.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see what happens there. No, Germany was my biggest disappointment so
Okay.
far of the tournament. Who was yours? Was it Germany or was it somebody else?
It wasn't Germany. It wasn't Germany. And I should probably pick them. I'm glad I didn't. So we get to hear another story because they were yours. But for me, it is actually Argentina because going into the tournament, I had them as my favorites to win, and it wasn't out of spite because of how I feel about Brazil, but it was honestly the fact that all right, what gives me the reason to give respect to a team is when they actually come out and win something. Now, Argentina, how I was in one of our chats during the Copa America. I was convinced that Argentina were going to blow it. They went into I don't want to dredge up these painful memories for you, but you remember what happened. It was held in Brazil. They went into Brazil. They won against Brazil 1-0 in the final. Now, to me, that took a lot of metal, right? It's something
Hmm.
I didn't think that Argentina had, but they did it. And then after that, they went on a run that was one of the best runs like in the history of the game and whatnot. And people were talking about them potentially breaking Italy's record and whatnot. But it was an impressive unbeaten run. So with that, I was thinking that this team had turned a corner. So I was trying to give them respect, and the fact is that they didn't have any like major injuries hampering the team going into the World Cup. So I was like, you know what, I feel like this is theirs to lose, just out of respect. And these men in the first game lost to Saudi Arabia. I don't care. I don't care what your expectations were for Argentina or anything like that. I've been watching the World Cup since the 1998 World Cup was the first World Cup I watched. First time I saw Saudi Arabia in the group, they were in France's group. I've never seen Saudi Arabia lead a game, much less win one, much less win one at a World Cup. And they actually came from behind and won. When Argentina scored that first goal, and you remember, I don't know if you actually saw that game, but you remember that Lautaro had a goal chalked off for offside. He was fractionally offside, but offside nonetheless. Then they get the penalty. Messi scores. They're up. It's like, all right, this is what we expect to happen. This is about to be a rout, two or three. But then they turn around and give up two goals and lose to Saudi Arabia. I had these men to comfortably win this group, Ken. And even in the second game against Mexico, I mean, obviously Mexico sat back a lot and tried to contain them and then hit them on the counter. It wasn't successful, but Argentina were struggling to actually make plays and get something together until Messi broke the deadlock with essentially what was a worldly strike. The team that I thought I would have seen based on how they've been in the last, I would say at least year and a half maybe, it's not what I'm seeing, and that's what's disappointing me because I kind of vouch for these men. Well, it's a good thing I didn't tell somebody to hedge all the bets on Argentina. Mind you, I wouldn't have done that, but I'm just saying I wouldn't have done that. That's very foolhardy, but Argentina has disappointed me the most because the fact is that while they're not out of the group, they haven't been eliminated or anything like that. They just don't look good, and they don't look like the favorites that I told them to be. I don't want to change my vote, no, because anything can happen. They sit on 3 points, a point behind Poland. They have a better goal difference than Saudi Arabia. The thing is, they're not out, but they're not out of the group either. Like anything could actually happen, and they're playing the top team in the group, mind you. I don't think Poland is good either, right? But anything can happen on the final day when you put yourself in this position. At this point, I feel like Argentina should have had 6 points and should have been in the next round, which is why to me they're the most disappointing. I I vote for these men, yeah.
But I mean, I can't argue with what you're saying about Argentina. I had Argentina picked to win the group, but to me, while Germany is the most disappointing team so far in the tournament, a close second is Mexico. I thought Mexico were going to be better than this. I
Same
just
actually.
I didn't have Mexico currently sitting bottom of this group.
Yeah.
I would love for Poland to beat Argentina, and for Mexico to win to send Argentina home. But that is
He's
more
Brazilian,
so.
huh? Just okay.
Yeah,
Just
that's
make sure
more
you remember that.
so. Yeah, and I was gonna give the disclaimer. That's more so because of my South American rivalry where they're concerned than anything else. But I really thought that Mexico were going to be better than this. And so when Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia, who has never, as you said, AJ, they never won a game before in World Cup history. Saudi Arabia, the ones that are responsible for that Joker Miroslav Klose having the record right now for the most goals scored in World Cup history. Give him four. Give him 4 goals. The man finished the World Cup with eight, I think it was 7 or 8. Hardly
Yeah,
scored after
yeah.
that. 4 goals they gave to this man and they turn around and beat
Mm.
Argentina. I was like, well, at least now I feel like if you have given me back something after you took away something from me. But then Mexico, I thought that with Argentina's defense showing up in the way that I anticipated it would have, which is to not show up
Hmm.
at all, Mexico would have been able to get some goals against them and knock them out. That has not happened, and no Mexico is sitting bottom of the group. I I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm hoping that Mexico can pull it off. I'd be very happy if Argentina gets knocked out. The faster they're back in Buenos Aires, the happier I'll be. Um, they don't need to wait for us. They can go home at any time. Um, but but yeah, that is Argentina and that group. But yeah, just before we get out of here, there's one other thing that we need to touch on, and that is the games that finished today. The group that finished today, what everybody thought was a group of death, where Ken was right. and AJ was wrong. And that is with England and the United States of America
Oh, you had picked them to
escaping.
go through.
I picked them to go through because you said that you had Wales to go
I
through.
did. I did. I did. That's kind of like the perfect segue too, because USA are like the biggest surprise to me in this World Cup so far. I have to give them credit because if you remember, when not even after we gave our picks here, when we appeared on hashtag this just in and we were talking about this, my reason was that I just don't trust the US. Like I feel like I've seen this script. It's like a Tyler Perry movie. It's like the same story every time, right?
Hmm.
And I felt like it would be the same thing again. The USA would be hyped because of the back of like Pulisic, and they have some other players who are in Europe and stuff. So it would be all right, yeah. The media's gonna hype them, and then they come out and just put up duds and end up being eliminated. But to their credit, I was actually today looking at this game at work and rooting for them to go through. And I was talking to Jared. Yeah, yes, Jared, I agree. Like Wales have been poor. Like I, it's not that I had much faith in Wales; it's that I had even less faith in the USA. It was just the lesser of evils, essentially. But the USA have actually deserved. You realize that the USA have conceded. They've conceded a single goal so far in these two games. They've conceded one goal. Oh, goals against?
Three
No.
games. Three
Oh,
games.
sorry, in 3 games. Yeah, and sorry, in 3 games. In 3 games. That's what I mean. Yeah, in 3 games. No, some of the people who I work with who are obviously American, they're not very fond of Berhalter. But if there's one thing I can say in Berhalter's defense, clearly he has these men operating very well defensively as a unit because it's not easy to break them down. Ken, they've basically outplayed every single team in this group they've faced. That's including England. Like if they had better finishers, and this is the Achilles heel of their team, they don't create enough. They're not decisive enough in the final third. They don't create enough. As height as Pulisic is, he does not create enough. And even when they do get opportunities, the finishing is not very good. That is going to be the undoing of them. But because I heard a stat, like I think there was a shot, someone had a shot early in the game today, and the commentators were saying that it was just their fourth shot on target for the entire World Cup, and this their third game. So offensively, they're not been good. They haven't been good enough. But giving up one goal in 3 games, and that one goal was was from a penalty from a boneheaded play by a defender who had no right fouling in the situation in which he was in.
It is true.
Yeah, so I mean, and defensively, they've been very hard to break down. They've been very compact. Players have been very disciplined. Tyler Adams and Wes McKinney have been absolutely, and I've been a fan of McKinney for a while, right? But he's been my favorite player to watch in their team so far. They've been absolutely immense in the middle of the field. Even Serginho Dest is playing well, and ain't nobody had a good thing to say about Dest for the season so far at where he is now at AC Milan on loan. Not AC Milan fans, not Barca fans. I ain't hear a good thing about Dest yet, boy. But Dest has actually been good. Got an assist today as well. I give you, yeah, I give it that one. You're right there, though, because I just did not have faith in them. But I whenever teams prove me wrong, they make me a fan. So I mean, it was fun while it lasted. There's no way they're going to beat the Netherlands. There's no way I'm going to predict that they beat the Netherlands. But I'm actually happy that they made it through because I think the players deserve it. Not the commentators like Alexi Lalas and Stu Holden and them boys who just full of pure bias, but the players I think have played well enough to deserve going through this group unbeaten and honestly unfazed. One goal. The only other team to concede a single goal thus far that's played 3 games is the Netherlands. That's a really good. Like they even conceded less goals than England, bro. That's a really good record. That
Hmm.
is a really good record, and it's a lot better than I expected. So, you know, USMNT, very well done. All credit due.
Yeah, I was anticipating that the US would have been able to give a good showing, at least in the group stage.
Hmm.
Didn't know who, you couldn't really tell who they were going to play coming out of the group stage, but the expectation would have been that they would not have finished higher than second.
Hmm.
So as a result, if they're going to be finishing second, they would have to play the group winner of Group A, and that we both predicted would have been the Netherlands. So
Yeah, yeah.
it would have been difficult for us to say, well, the US is going to get past the round of 16. But as you said, defensively, they have been playing very well. They have not been beaten by anybody, including England,
In open
who,
play, that's incredible.
yeah, the one thing that is concerning for me, where the US are concerned, is that they don't play a full game of football. They play extremely well in the first half, and then, well, for the two games that, because I think they won two games, right? They won two games.
No, they drew two.
Oh, they
Today
drew.
was their first win. Yeah, today was the first win.
Oh, my bad. Yes. So they drew
Yeah.
two and then they won. When they played against when they played against Wales, they were all on top of them the entire game, the entire first half, and then the second half. I don't know what Berhalter told them, but they suddenly did not. They weren't attacking. When they played against England, they were all over them in the first half, and then when it came to the second half, it was the same kind of story. When they played against Iran today, they got the goal early in the first half. Timothy Weah scored a beautiful offside goal. And then when they went in at halftime and they came back out, they made no adjustments to counter what
Oh,
Iran.
no, there's no way goal that stood. That one get. You mean for
No,
today?
right, he scored a beautiful offside goal.
Oh yeah. Oh, you just me. Yeah, because wait, but no, Pulisic actually did score in the first half though.
Right, Pulisic scored first, and then Weah came and
Oh, you mean
had
after the? Okay, yeah,
yeah,
the
he had
offside. Yeah,
a beautiful
yeah.
finish that was
Oh, I
chalked
thought
off
you
for
were
offside.
forgetting Pulisic one. Yeah, yeah.
No, 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 no. I remember that Captain America scored
Yeah.
and then got taken out and couldn't return after halftime. So I mean, kudos to the US. I I didn't have any expectations for Wales. I said that here on the show. I also said it when we went on hashtag this just in. Wales did not disappoint me because I had no expectations for them. The US, they did what they needed to do, which was that they beat Iran. And they did have some nervy moments in that second half, but they did enough. They did what they needed to do, and now they move forward. We will see who moves forward now over these next couple of days. Because just to remind everybody, Poland and Argentina right now are in the lead in Group C. France is already through. Australia is second. Then Denmark and Tunisia in Group D. Spain and Japan are the leaders in Group E, followed by Costa Rica and Germany. Let's hope that Munich sees them soon. Croatia and Morocco, they are the ones that are out front in Group F. Belgium is getting ready to head back to Brussels. Brazil is already qualified. Switzerland is currently sitting in second. Cameroon is third, and Serbia are fourth. And then Portugal, they've also qualified. Ghana, they're second on 3 points. South Korea and Uruguay are the ones that are bringing up the rear. So AJ, we we've spent some time talking about the World Cup. We know that when we get back here next week, that we will know for sure who has qualified, who sits where. We will have completed our brackets, and we invite everyone as well to do your brackets. It is free to enter, and if you're in Barbados, then there's a prize for you for sure. We will see if we can get some prizes for some other places for those of you around the Caribbean, also here in the United States of America. AJ, do you have anything to plug for the folks before we get out of here?
Go USA. Being facetious, of course. Allez le bleu, though. We got this.
All right. Well, for me, on Saturday evening, for those in the Denver area, our church is putting on a Christmas production. December is literally 2 days away, and I wrote a play, AJ. I wrote another play for our Christmas program this year. It's called "Who Is He?" We are featuring conversation. Well, not conversations. We're looking at the wise men with a twist. So, for those of you who are interested, I will have on my social media some links that you can tune in and watch. Or if you are in the Denver area, you can come and join us. But that is where we are going to land it for this week's episode. As always, that is AJ. He is the green. I am Ken. I am the beige. And we will see you next time.